Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a custom tooltip in your application. This is really good when you have features or things on your app that might need a little bit more explanation, but you don't necessarily want them on the page at all times. So here's an example. If I click on this question mark icon next to this graph, I can get some more information about, what I'm looking at with regards to the graph. So the benefit of this type of thing is that you can really customize what this tooltip looks like. Okay, you're not just restricted to text. You can have other things in this area, and you can really design the tooltip box to fit within the rest of your app's style palette. So let's take a look. Okay, so on this example page, I have 4 different graphs. So I'm going to grab one of these icon elements here and draw it just in the upper right corner of this graph, and I'm going to use one of these question mark icons. That one looks good. Maybe make it a little smaller. Generally these little tooltip icons are not too big. You kind of want to keep them subtle but definitely accessible. So I'll copy and paste that for all of them here, because clicking on each one of these will trigger a different custom tooltip. Right, so now the next step we need to do is we want to add a group focus. Okay, so I'm going to grab that, draw it on the page, and the thing about the group focus is it needs a reference element. It needs to know kind of what to attach itself to. So I'm going to select the icon here. I'm also going to relabel this icon question 1, and I'll go ahead and relabel the other ones as well. This one will be 2, 3, and 4. So now we are very clear on what's what. So this group focus is going to be for question 1. The reference element is going to be icon question 1. Okay, and you see how it's snapped over here. And I can adjust the offset of this group's placement by changing the pixels here. Right now, the top left corner of the group focus is going to align itself to the lower left corner of the reference element. So if I wanted to change the offset to be off by 50 pixels, I can do that and it'll move down a little bit more. I'm just going to leave it at the 0, 0 default. Okay, so this group focus is what will contain our custom tooltip. So I'm going to just change the color and maybe add a little bit of an outset shadow style so that it separates itself from the rest of the page that it's on top of. So you have a little bit of a foreground and background effect going there. A little bit of a shadow, and we'll see this in the preview. You can't really see your outset styles while you're designing it, but we will see it in the preview. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a roundness there too. All right, and then I'm going to add a text element. So I'll grab a text here and draw it inside this group, and this is where you'll type in your tooltip for this particular thing. So I've got this icon associated with this graph here because I put it up there. So I can say this bar chart is a count of cars in your database. I'm going to be working with a data type called cars in my database, and of course you can make this a lot bigger. You could have more text. I'm going to grab some of this sample text here to fill out our custom tooltip a bit more. Okay, like that. And again, you can make this whatever size is necessary for the tooltip itself. And because this is a group element that you're placing your content inside, you can do other things in here. You can have icons, images, buttons that might trigger other workflows. Right now this is really just a text inside of a group, but the point is that because it's in a group focus, it's something that you can trigger by clicking on this icon, and then clicking outside of the group will make it go away. That's kind of the feature that's special about the group focus. So all that's left to do is create the workflow that shows this group. So with this question mark, I'm going to start edit workflow, and I will do an element action to show group focus right there. And let's preview this application. So you can see I have my 4 different charts here, and on this question mark, now it shows my little tooltip there for this chart. And so I would just repeat this process of creating a separate group focus, referencing it to these different icons, and then setting up the workflow so that those icons open up their related group focus element. And since these are all separate elements, or they would be when you add more of them, Obviously you can have different content inside of the different groups. And that's how you set this thing up. The last thing I wanted to note is that you might already be familiar with this tooltip feature that Bubble has already built in for most of its elements. So for example, on the question mark icon, here's a field where I can type in a tooltip. So if I pasted that same text, this is what would happen on the hover of the question mark. So I'll show you what that's going to do. So I'm just hovering over the icon, and you can see that what's technically happening is we're applying a title attribute to that icon. So this is just kind of like a default browser display of that attribute. You don't really have any control over the styling of that. That's why I wanted to show you how to build this more custom method so that you can really design the tooltip to be whatever you want. And you're not limited to just displaying text. Because this is a group, you can put all other kinds of elements in there as well. Alright, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up below, subscribe to the channel. I'm always updating with new content every single week. Thanks so much for watching.